Have you ever found yourself feeling awkward when talking about yourself at social gatherings? As we move through different stages of life, the urge to share about our health, family, or personal experiences becomes stronger. But did you know that sometimes what you don't say is just as important as what you do say? The stories you choose to share not only shape how others perceive you, but also reflect how you value and define yourself. At this stage in life, confidence and self-respect are more precious than ever. In today's video, we'll explore the things you should avoid saying about yourself in public. Doing so will not only help you maintain your personal image, but also foster deeper and more meaningful connections with those around you. Let's get started. 1. When you talk about your finances in public, you might unintentionally create discomfort, not just for yourself, but for others as well. As someone with years of life experience, you know that finances are a deeply personal matter, tied closely to self-esteem and a sense of security. Publicly sharing your financial situation can lead to unforeseen consequences, especially in today's world, where people are often judged by their material possessions. Privacy is a key value, particularly when we've lived long enough to understand that not everything should be put out there for everyone to see. Personal finances, whether it's a modest savings account or significant assets, are private and reflect not only your financial capability, but also your independence and ability to manage your life. When you share too much about your finances, it could erode the respect you have for yourself, make you feel uncomfortable, or even lead to judgment. One of the main reasons to keep your finances private is to preserve the human connection in your relationships. People come from different circumstances, and if you're openly discussing your finances, others may feel insecure, embarrassed, or uneasy. This can affect not only their emotional state, but also damage your relationship with them. We shouldn't judge others by their wealth, but by their character, respect, and the kindness they show in life. Keeping your financial matters private isn't about hiding the truth. It's about demonstrating mutual respect. In a community, when people aren't comparing incomes, it's easier to live in harmony. This creates an environment of equality, where individuals are valued for their qualities and not for the numbers in their bank accounts. You may recall a story about a friend who constantly brags about expensive vacations, luxurious homes, and huge profitable investments. At first, you might have enjoyed hearing their stories, but over time, it started to make you feel uneasy. You began to sense a growing distance between you and that friend, and every time they talked about their finances, it felt like they were judging you. Those stories, even if unintentional, could make you feel inadequate or like they were bragging, somehow straining your inner spirit, feeling like you were lacking and missing something important. Eventually, you chose to distance yourself from those types of conversations. On the other hand, there's another friend in the group who never talks about their income or flaunts their possessions. While you may not know exactly how much money they have, you always feel respected and comfortable around them. You sense their sincerity in the stories they share, and that's what truly matters. They help you recognize a different kind of value in life: respect, kindness, and mutual concern, not the numbers in your bank account. By keeping your financial situation private, you not only protect your own privacy, but also foster an environment of equality and respect for everyone around you. We don't need to disclose our income or assets. What truly matters in life isn't the financial numbers, but relationships, care for one another, sharing, and empathy. These are the values that matter most. By cleaning up and bringing order to the wreckage you've created, we can with the years of experience you've gained, you've likely faced many ups and downs in life. You understand that equality and respect in relationships are the most important things. When we don't judge others based on money, but on who they are and their character, we contribute to building a more equal and harmonious society. Keeping your finances private is a sign of maturity and a deep understanding of what truly matters in life. Let's take the example of someone named Sarah, a successful woman living in New York. Sarah is a CEO of a large tech company with a high income. At social gatherings, Sarah often shares stories about her lavish vacations, the luxury cars she owns, and real estate deals she's made. At first, Sarah's stories were taken lightly by everyone. However, after a while, things began to change. Every time Sarah talked about her trips to Europe or dining at five-star restaurants, John felt that he couldn't share his own experiences without being compared. He began to feel uneasy whenever he met Sarah and the other friends in the group, not wanting them to think he was financially lacking. One day at a gathering, Sarah talked about a real estate investment she had just made with an extremely high return and how she was leveraging market opportunities to grow her wealth. John, who didn't have the financial means to make such investments, could only sit in silence and listen. He felt that Sarah's stories not only highlighted her success, but also created a distance between them, making him feel less confident. This situation is not uncommon in American society, where financial matters can become a dividing factor in relationships. While Sarah may not have intended to boast, her stories inadvertently put pressure on John and others in the group who couldn't live the way she did. Conversations about finances, if not approached carefully, can harm people's self-esteem and create distinctions rather than building empathetic connections. On the other hand, there was another friend in Sarah's group, Lisa, a successful woman who always kept her financial matters private. Lisa never discussed her income or assets, but instead focused on sharing stories about her family, charitable projects she was involved in, and personal life experiences. Every time people met Lisa, they felt at ease without the pressure of being compared materially. Her great cooking, her sensuous-smelling tea, and her wonderful reciprocity, Lisa created a space for conversation that was warm and empathetic, where people were valued not by their wealth, but by what they could contribute and share with the community. Her stories centered on personal growth, health, and relationships, creating a deeper connection among the group. From these examples, it's clear that personal finances can easily become a sensitive subject, potentially creating division in social relationships. Keeping financial matters private helps maintain equality, reduces unnecessary comparisons, and fosters a space where relationships are built on respect and empathy. People can be valued for their character, contributions, and kindness, rather than the numbers in their bank accounts. 2. Having lived through many years of experience, you likely understand that family is a deeply private matter. It's where we find comfort, love, and support. Every family has its unique dynamics, and relationships among family members are not always easy. Whether it's small disagreements or major challenges, issues within the family can cause stress, but they don't always need to be shared with others. In fact, airing family troubles can harm the bond between family members and lead to unnecessary misunderstandings. When we're younger, it's easy to share family struggles with friends or relatives. But as we grow older, you may find that keeping private family matters to yourself is a way of showing respect and protecting relationships. Sharing too much about family tensions can erode trust among family members, and sometimes outsiders may not fully understand your situation. They might only see things from their own perspective and offer unrealistic advice, which can complicate matters even more. By now, you've likely gone through enough ups and downs in life to know that family issues aren't always quickly or easily resolved. Arguments between spouses, differing approaches to raising children, or the health struggles of loved ones are challenges that everyone faces. But bringing these problems into the open can create an invisible divide between you and your loved ones. When shared with outsiders, these issues might not be understood properly and could actually add more stress to your family dynamic. Hell, why keep family troubles private? Simply put, family is where we need to protect each other's privacy and maintain mutual respect. Family issues, no matter how small, can quickly escalate when shared with others and can end up becoming much bigger problems. Additionally, every family has its own way of dealing with difficulties. Not everyone outside of your family understands the full context or the emotions of each member. That's why keeping things private and solving them internally can lead to a more discreet and calm resolution. Consider the story of Susan, a woman in her 70s living in a small town in Vermont. Susan has a warm family with a husband and 2 grown children. However, recently her family has been facing some struggles. Her daughter Rachel is going through a tough marriage and personal issues. This has affected the family atmosphere, especially when Rachel and her husband argue during family gatherings. Susan has noticed their softened look, they're less animated and more homesick than usual, and their eyes go a little sad. Susan, with her love and concern for her daughter, finds it hard to watch her suffer. But instead of sharing these issues with friends or relatives outside the family, Susan chooses to keep it private. She knows that if the family's troubles are exposed, outsiders may not fully understand the situation and could offer advice that might make things worse. One day, during a gathering with longtime friends, Susan listens to her friend Karen, who is dealing with similar family problems. Unlike Susan, Karen often shares about arguments with her husband and conflicts between her children. Although Karen's friends listen and offer advice, her stories start to become frequent topics of conversation. The group begins to judge Karen's actions and those of her family, creating unnecessary tension. Seeing Karen's situation, Susan realizes that while family difficulties can be stressful, sharing too much with outsiders can lead to misunderstandings. Friends' advice doesn't always solve the problem, and conversations without family involvement sometimes just make things more complicated. On the other hand, Susan continues to keep her family troubles private, discussing them only with her daughter to find a quiet, thoughtful solution. She also talks with her husband about how to support Rachel without adding pressure or stress. Over time, the family atmosphere improves, and the relationship between Susan and her children remains warm and respectful, because all decisions and solutions are made within the family, not based on external judgment. Susan's story shows that in a society where privacy and personal respect are highly valued, keeping family difficulties private is not just a smart choice. It's a way to show respect and protect family relationships. Sharing these troubles with outsiders can lead to misunderstandings, increase stress, and complicate relationships among family members. Sue's charitable, wise, publishes her work privately and inside her home to bring comfort and support. Keeping things private and sharing them only within the family allows everyone to work together to find the best solution without facing external judgment. 3. Don't share your weaknesses or feelings of helplessness. Having lived through many years, you've likely encountered your fair share of ups and downs in life. There are bound to be times when you feel helpless, exhausted, or simply unable to do things the way you used to. These emotions, while completely normal, can be sensitive topics to share with others. In today's world, especially as you grow older, revealing your weaknesses or feelings of powerlessness might not only leave you feeling vulnerable, but it could also affect the way others perceive you. You've probably heard the saying, being strong doesn't mean you don't have weaknesses, it means you know when to hide them. In reality, Not everyone around you understands the struggles you face. Sometimes sharing too much about what makes you feel weak or helpless can lead to judgment or even create a heavy burden on those around you. Ken Castro naturally became the main source of support to the National Guard, who best knew his strength, friendship, and loyalty. In reality, not everyone around you is there to support you. Sometimes, sharing too much about what makes you feel weak or helpless can lead to shame. You might feel a sense of relief after opening up, but not everyone who listens can truly help. And sometimes, sharing may only make you feel weaker instead of finding empathy. You've lived long enough to understand that a key part of life is maintaining your self-respect and dignity. Not every challenge or hardship needs to be aired publicly. Keeping some of your vulnerabilities private isn't about hiding the truth. It's about showing resilience and facing challenges in a way that preserves your strength, even when you know you may need time to recover. Moreover, not everyone can fully grasp the context of what you're going through. Friends or acquaintances might not fully understand the exhaustion or stress you're enduring. They might think you're complaining, or they could offer advice that doesn't fit your situation, making you feel even more isolated in your struggles. The feeling of helplessness, whether it's not being able to accomplish things as you once did or worrying about your health, is a normal part of aging. But that doesn't mean you have to share these feelings with the world. Let's think about the story of Martha, a 75-year-old woman living in a small town in New England. Martha had always been seen as a strong, active woman in her community. She spent her life taking care of her family, participating in social activities, and never letting anything slow her down. But in recent years, her health began to decline. She found herself no longer able to do small tasks she once took for granted, like grocery shopping, cleaning, or even taking care of herself. No matter how hard she tried, she often felt fatigued and helpless. Her working life became less interesting day by day. One day, while having tea with her longtime friends, Martha couldn't hold back and began to share her feelings about the changes in her body, the challenges of aging, sleepless nights, and the loneliness she felt now that she could no longer do the things she once loved. She hoped her friends would listen and empathize with the pain she was experiencing. Likewise, she sought out friends of her own to process things. However, as soon as she started speaking, she noticed that the reactions from her friends weren't what she expected. One friend, Helen, quickly suggested, "Martha, you should try yoga or meditation. It'll make you feel much better." Another one chimed in, "I know a great doctor who can help you feel like your old self again." While these suggestions were well-intentioned, they made Martha feel misunderstood. She didn't want to dismiss yoga or find a doctor, but she knew her health just wasn't the same anymore. She had tried many things, but not all of them worked. These well-meaning pieces of advice only made her feel weaker, as if she hadn't tried hard enough, or worse, like she was doing something wrong. Martha's feelings were further confused by the fact that her friends couldn't truly understand what she was going through. They hadn't experienced the physical and mental changes that come with aging. They might have theoretical solutions, but they didn't know what it felt like when each step became slower and harder, when your body wasn't as agile as it once was, or when you realized that a part of you had been lost. These suggestions weren't the encouragement Martha needed. They were judgments she couldn't live up to. They couldn't understand the disappointment she felt, that sometimes accepting the changes in your body and life is the hardest part. So she increased the final hurdle to the opposite cavern. Fear is the oldest friend. They described it versus shearing fear as the jittery silence of absence and the impulse to scatter. After the gathering, Martha felt emotionally drained. Her friend's advice not only didn't help, It made her feel like she was being scrutinized, like she wasn't trying hard enough or wasn't smart enough to figure out how to solve her own problems. The feeling of helplessness only grew stronger. It seemed like everyone had their own solutions, but no one truly understood her feelings. What she needed was empathy, not quick fixes. Martha realized that sharing these emotions with others wasn't going to make her feel better. More than ever, she recognized that while her friends were kind-hearted, they couldn't truly understand the changes she was experiencing. They couldn't feel the frustration of not being able to do things she once did with ease. So, she decided that next time, she would keep those feelings to herself. She knew not everyone could empathize with her. Instead of sharing her helplessness outwardly, she turned to her family for comfort. Those who understood her better and were always there when she felt at her most vulnerable. For nearly 20 years, Helen had friends and family to rely on, since there was no one else. In this story, Martha exemplifies how important it is to recognize the difference between seeking support from those who understand you and sharing your struggles with people who may not truly get it. Sometimes, keeping things to yourself and reaching out to the ones who truly empathize can be the most helpful choice. 4. Don't complain about your health issues. You understand that changes in the body are a natural part of life. It's something everyone has to accept as time goes on. However, constantly sharing details about your health problems can create a heavy atmosphere, not only for you, but also for those around you. When you frequently complain about not being able to walk like you used to, or having to deal with chronic illnesses, you not only burden yourself, but may also unintentionally make the atmosphere around you sad and hopeless. And so, everyone faces health challenges at some point. You've likely experienced enough to know that sharing your health issues doesn't always bring comfort. In fact, sometimes it may only make you feel trapped in the pain and loss that your body can no longer control. And this can affect those around you, making them feel anxious or uneasy, even if they don't mean to make you feel that way. When you continually complain about your health, you might inadvertently create a negative image of yourself in others' eyes. Your friends or family may feel helpless because they can't do much to help. They might offer advice, but not all of it will be helpful. Sometimes what they really need to do is listen and empathize, rather than feel pressured to have a solution for all your problems. So why not try changing how you view and respond to your own health issues? You may not be able to avoid the pain or health problems, but you can choose to accept them more gently. Not complaining doesn't mean you're hiding or ignoring the truth. It's about facing it with resilience and not letting physical difficulties take away your joy for life. Let's consider the story of John, a 72-year-old man living in a quiet neighborhood in California. John had always been a healthy man who enjoyed walking in the park and participating in sports activities. However, recently, he began experiencing joint pain and was diagnosed with diabetes. These health issues not only made him feel uncomfortable, but also prevented him from doing the activities he loved. Whenever he met with friends, he felt the need to share the joint pain he was enduring, or the doctor visits he had been making. At first, John's friends were very understanding and listened attentively, but over time he realized that each time he shared about his illness, the atmosphere of the gathering became more somber and heavy. They couldn't do much more than offer comfort, and sometimes their advice made him feel judged. Once, when he mentioned that he could no longer walk as much due to joint pain, one of his friends, Tom, suggested, "John, you should try swimming. It really helps reduce joint pain." However, John felt that these suggestions only made him more anxious. He knew how to swim, but the issue wasn't whether he could swim or not. It was the feeling of helplessness that came with not being able to do things he once did easily. Gradually, John realized that every time he complained about his health, he not only made those around him feel sad, but also made himself feel weaker. He decided to stop sharing too much about his illness and instead focus on finding joy in smaller things, like gardening, reading, or occasionally chatting with friends, without constantly talking about the pain. One day, during a gathering with friends, when they asked about his health, John smiled and said, "I'm doing fine, just adjusting a little. How about you all? What's new with you?" Instead of focusing on illness, he shifted the conversation to other topics, creating a more uplifting atmosphere. This not only made him feel lighter, but also helped his friends feel more at ease when chatting with him. Dear friends, health issues are a natural part of aging, but rather than making it the center of every conversation, you can choose to face them with more resilience and optimism. Not complaining doesn't mean you're avoiding the truth. It means you're protecting yourself and those around you from unnecessary negative emotions. A positive mindset, even in small doses, can help you rediscover joy in everyday life and strengthen your relationships with others. 5. Don't compare yourself to others in public. Aging brings with it changes that we can't avoid. The body isn't as flexible as it used to be. Health doesn't always cooperate, and tasks that once seemed easy are now challenges. These are things everyone faces as they grow older. But one thing we often do is compare ourselves to others around us, especially those who are still healthy, energetic, and seem like nothing has changed for them. As someone who has lived a long life, you likely know that comparing yourself to others can bring about uncomfortable feelings. Every person is unique, with their own circumstances and story. What we see on the outside is just a small part of the whole, and behind that exterior, there may be things we can't even imagine. Comparing yourself to others only makes you feel inadequate or not good enough, and when age starts to slow your body down, this feeling becomes even more pronounced. In situations like this, you may feel like you're being left behind, but in reality, all this does is undermine your own confidence. Everyone has their own life and journey. You don't know the struggles others may be facing. Someone might still seem strong, but are they truly healthy? Or is it just a facade? They might also be hiding challenges that you can't see. Comparing yourself won't help you understand others' situations, nor will it help you understand your own worth. The truth is, the more you compare yourself to others, the more you'll feel inadequate, and the easier it is to fall into a negative mindset. Especially when you share these comparisons in public, your words can inadvertently create an uncomfortable atmosphere, and you may feel like you're being judged. The people listening may feel awkward, unsure of what to say or do to comfort you. They might feel helpless, because not everyone can truly grasp how you're feeling in that moment. So instead of looking at others and asking, "Why am I not like them?" try shifting your perspective. Everyone has their own unique circumstances and life experiences. You have every right to be proud of what you've accomplished and what you've overcome, big or small. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone, because your story is already special. Imagine Betty, a 70-year-old woman living in Florida. Betty used to be very active, enjoying walks and attending exercise sessions with her friends. However, in recent years, she started feeling more fatigued, and her joints no longer worked as smoothly as before. One day when she met a group of friends at the park, Betty saw one of her peers, Nancy, still going strong and easily walking long distances without any issues. Her smile became more rapturous. Nancy was still participating in outdoor activities like hiking and traveling. Betty couldn't help but compare herself to Nancy and felt saddened. Why can't I be like Nancy? She wondered. She can still do all those things, and I get tired just from walking. During the conversation, Betty inadvertently shared with her friends about her limitations, mentioning that she felt she was no longer the same. But when she saw the expressions on her friends' faces, she realized that this comparison was making the atmosphere heavier. Her words may have left her friends unsure of what to say, as they couldn't change the reality she was facing. And Betty herself felt like she was just complaining, instead of finding ways to cope with the changes in her body. Over time, Betty realized that comparing herself to others didn't make her feel any better. The sense of not being good enough only led to more disappointment, which made her feel increasingly lonely. Eventually, she decided to stop comparing herself to others. She began to view the changes in her body with a gentler attitude and found joy in the small things. Keep this line of thinking. The chances are high you'll succeed. Betty started walking at a comfortable pace, enjoying the outdoors and having cheerful conversations with her friends, instead of looking at Nancy and wondering why she couldn't be like her. Comparing yourself to others not only makes you feel worse, but it also erodes your self-esteem and sense of worth. Each person's life is a unique story, and you can't measure your value by what others have. Respect yourself and what you've been through, because you are a unique individual with invaluable experiences that no one can replace. Instead of looking at what others have, look back at your own journey and be proud of what you've achieved. Your life is your own, and you deserve the joy and peace that you can find in each moment. 6. Don't share an inability to adapt to change. As we age, the world around us can feel like it's changing too quickly. Technology, communication methods, and new trends all progress and change daily. Sometimes, these changes can make you feel like you're falling behind, and you might begin to feel anxious or confused. You might think, things were better in the past, and as a result, you start to close yourself off from learning new things. You become obsessed with technology. However, sharing a conservative attitude or reluctance to embrace new things, especially in public conversations, not only limits your own growth, but also makes others around you feel uncomfortable. In reality, no matter your age, being open to learning new things doesn't just keep you feeling youthful, it also helps you stay mentally flexible and engaged with the world around you. The fundamental mistake of being unhappy in life is letting doubts about ourselves and are too hard to part. A closed-off attitude may make you feel safe in old viewpoints, but it also creates a gap between you and others, especially younger generations. They might find it hard to approach you and might even feel like you no longer care about societal changes. Rejecting new things doesn't always preserve your dignity. In fact, it can make you seem like you're falling behind, unable to keep up with modern life. Moreover, the world around us is changing at a faster pace, and learning new things, whether it's using a new app or adopting a fresh perspective, can open up opportunities for connection and communication. These new skills not only boost your confidence in social interactions, but can also bring joy as you explore new interests. You don't have to learn everything, but keeping an open mind and a willingness to learn will help you continue to enjoy life. Let's look at the story of Bill, a 72-year-old man living in Chicago. Bill is a very strict person who has always upheld traditional values. He spent his whole life working in a factory, and on weekends, he enjoyed reading the newspaper and watching old TV shows. One day, Bill's daughter, Sarah, suggested that he learn how to use a smartphone so he could easily stay in touch with family and keep up with the news anywhere, anytime. However, Bill was very opposed to the idea. "I don't need that," he said. What's so great about those phones? We lived fine without them back in the day. Despite Sarah's patient explanations about the helpful features of a smartphone, such as being able to video call his grandchildren, send photos to friends of his age, or even join social media chats, Bill remained adamant. He believed those things only drove people apart and were unnecessary. Each time they met, Bill would say, "Back in my day, life was simple. I don't understand why young people like those phones. They just make everything more complicated." His words not only made his daughter sad, but they also made those around him feel uncomfortable. They couldn't understand why Bill was so stubborn, and his conversations gradually became less lively because people found it hard to relate to his views. Bill talked about everything from science to medicine, society. Over time, Bill realized that his conversations were no longer as enjoyable as they once were. People seemed less interested in meeting with him because his stories were all about outdated values that didn't connect with today's world. After a while, Bill started to rethink his stance. He realized that holding on to a rigid attitude and refusing to learn new things was only making him feel isolated. Eventually, he decided to give the smartphone his daughter had bought him a try, even if it was just to send texts or watch a few videos online. A little while later, Bill no longer felt fearful or confused by new technology. In fact, he even began using the phone to video call his grandchildren and join friend groups on Facebook. These small changes not only made him feel happier, but also helped him reconnect with his family and friends. He realized that, despite his age, being open to learning and embracing new things could still bring joy and connection into his life. Refusing to learn and holding on to a conservative mindset may feel safe, but it also means missing out on many wonderful opportunities to connect and enjoy life. The more closed off you are, the more isolated and lonely you may feel. The world is changing quickly, and embracing new things doesn't just keep your mind fresh, it also helps you maintain relationships, especially with younger generations. Don't let fears or insecurities prevent you from accepting opportunities to explore and experience life in new ways. Embracing the new is the key to living fully in each moment, no matter your age. Cyborg Sangler. Age has never been the barrier. It's our attitude toward change that truly matters. By maintaining a positive mindset, staying open to learning, and being mindful of what we share, we can build meaningful and lasting relationships. Perfection isn't the goal, but flexibility, understanding, and respect for both yourself and others are the keys to creating a fulfilling and connected life. Remember, the golden years are not an ending, but the beginning of a new chapter filled with joy, discovery, and endless possibilities. Life can remain vibrant and exciting if you choose to embrace it every single day. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. We're here to support you on your journey to a happier, healthier, and more meaningful life. See you soon.